Chuck Schumer's got the mask on, and look at Colbert, no mask, spreading pandemic viruses. Look, he's dancing, high-fiving and dancing with Chuck Schumer. What is this? Well, what kind of signaling is this?
Can you imagine Bill Hicks fucking dancing with a senator?
Jesus Christ. Well, Colbert was never really a stand-up.
Colbert and I are not friends.
Yeah, like those guys, to me, they're just the worst sort of partisan nonsense. You want everybody...
But the good part of that is we don't hide it. Like, he doesn't like me and I don't like him. And we don't deny it and we don't like it.
No, but he's nothing.
The fallout from Stephen Colbert's meltdown at CBS has erupted into a full-blown media circus, with comedians lining up to defend the so-called late-night king, but not everyone's buying the narrative. A few brutally honest voices are cutting. Through the noise and leading that charge are Bill Maher and Joe Rogan. They didn't hold back, calling out Colbert for abandoning his role as comic relief and turning into yet another preachy, anti-Trump pundit. First to bring the heat, Joe, Rogan, and he came in swinging.
These people are all friends, like Rachel Maddow and Democratic Party politicians. They're friends.
Have you ever seen a video of Chuck Schumer and Stephen Colbert dancing together?
Oh God, I can't even imagine.
You need to see it.
Do we have time?
You need to see it.
Yeah.
You need to just see them dancing together. and I feel the same way about comedians that you do about journalists. You know, like you can't be friends with those people because there's going to come a time where you have to talk about them.
Joe Rogan lit the match when he torched Stephen Colbert for cozying up to the Democrats. And let's be clear, Rogan isn't out here preaching hatred for politicians. He's highlighting a simple, uncomfortable truth. When you get too close to power, your backbone tends to vanish. That overfamiliarity makes it nearly impossible to hold leaders accountable. That's the real danger. And it's why Colbert, Jon Stewart, and Jimmy Kimmel consistently struggle to criticize anything the left does wrong. Their bias isn't a fluke, it's baked into their relationships. Trump's not their friend, doesn't schmooze backstage, and doesn't pander to their elite crowd. So naturally, he's their favorite punching bag. Meanwhile, any critique of the left is a soft tap if it even happens at all.
Dennis Miller ran into that with George Bush. I remember being incredibly disappointed because I was a Dennis Miller fan. As a comic, he was a very good comic. And, you know, his HBO special was brilliant. Had some great jokes, great one-liners.
Absolutely.
But then he said he was going to give George Bush a pass because he's his friend and he wouldn't make fun of him. Look at this. Chuck Schumer's got the mask on, and look at Colbert, no mask, spreading pandemic viruses.
Rogan didn't stop there, kept the pressure on, roasting Colbert for betraying the core of what comedy used to stand for, holding power accountable with sharp, fearless satire. Instead, Colbert abandoned that mission, swapping out rebellious wit for full-blown pandering to the left and riding an anti-Trump wave that fizzled into redundancy. The real kicker? The same guy who scolded Americans about pandemic protocols couldn't even follow his own. Rules going maskless while preaching, mandates to everyone else. Rogan called out the hypocrisy with precision, slamming Colbert's transformation from edgy comic to glorified mouthpiece. His comedy didn't evolve, got neutered. When the court jester turns into the king's echo chamber, Rogan warned, the entire kingdom starts to rot.
Imagine Bill Hicks fucking dancing with a senator.
Jesus Christ. Well, Colbert was never really a stand-up, so, I mean, I guess he has that.
No, but I mean...
But he was a comic when the Colbert Report was on. I mean, that was hilarious.
It was really good.
He was great.
Yeah.
He was great. And that show was a great takeoff of a pompous, ridiculous Republican.
Exactly.
I mean, it was really good. And then when you see this, you're like, wait a minute. What are you doing?
Right.
The are you doing?
And why were you doing the other thing before? Like,
right.
Was it to do this?
You see, most of these comedians aren't chasing truth or social change anymore. They're chasing access. What used to be a platform for punching up has turned into a ladder to elite parties, media deals, and political favor. The rebellious Truthler Act that gets dropped the moment the invites to the Hamptons start rolling in. It's no longer about challenging the status quo. It's about becoming part of it. Very few still use comedy to disrupt or expose. Most now use it to cash in. They're not speaking truth to power. They're sipping champagne with it. Once they get a taste of that elite status, they toe the line, play the game, and perform whatever act keeps the doors open. That's why Colbert spent years hammering Trump not out of conviction, but because it scored points with the right people. He didn't remain a critic of power. He became its mascot. And Joe Rogan sees it for what it is, a sellout story wrapped in a punchline. Now listen, as Rogan walks you through how Colbert got swallowed by the machine.
I think what happened was, and I'm just going to guess, but I think what happened was he had this brilliant character. It was amazing on The Daily Show. Then he does the Colbert Report. It's amazing there. It's a great show, right? And then they offer him the carrot. What's the carrot? The carrot's a late night talk show.
Right.
Man, the late night talk show for, I guess, kind of my generation was the thing that everybody wanted. Kimmel and Fallon and all these guys, like, you got to host the Tonight Show, or Jimmy Kimmel's got his own show. You got your own show. You got the Letterman show. You got the this show, that show. That was the thing, man.
Right.
If you could get your own show like that, like, you were in. If they offered it to you, you took it.
Joe Rogan's theory hits hard and honestly. It tracks.
Ow.
This isn't some fringe conspiracy. It's a blueprint we've seen unfold time and time again. The puppet masters behind the scenes needed a new face, someone willing to push the narrative. Under the comforting disguise of comedy, Stephen Colbert. He had his eyes locked on The Late Show, the crown jewel of late-night television. The golden seat every comedian dreams of. And then came the offer. A massive stage, a mountain of cash, and full access to the Hollywood elite and political power players. Colbert didn't blink. He took the deal. In that moment, he swapped sharp satire for safe partisan sermonizing. His anti-Trump transformation didn't come from moral outrage, came from calculation. Ambition paved the way, and the machine molded him into the perfect tool. His comedy lost its edge and became performance obedience. But Joe Rogan doesn't stop there. He keeps peeling back the curtain on how fame, power, and influence can gut a comedian's soul.
Be that show guy, he has to be a different guy. So now he's not. Colbert from the show was this genius parody. Now he's just Stephen Colbert.
Right.
That's who he is.
They destroyed the essence by giving him something.
The best example of it was when Jon Stewart came on, and Jon Stewart was doing that bit about the lab leak theory. And Colbert is jumping in and stepping all over it.
Right.
And I'd like to see some evidence of that. Like, he's like f***ing up the bit. Clearly, Stewart, who's a great comic, is in the middle of a bit.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And Colbert's trying to, he's like, you can see the panic in his eyes that this is not going along with the narrative. So he's hamstringing the bit.
Right.
Which is crazy to see.
Everyone has bias. We all lean left or right, vote for one party or another. But Stephen Colbert's bias wasn't just obvious. It was suffocating. And now it all makes sense. He wasn't just another liberal voice with a perspective. He was a well-compensated mouthpiece, parroting whatever his left-leaning overlords wanted broadcast. He didn't just lean into politics, he sold out to it. The man traded his integrity for airtime, ratings, and hollow applause. Remember that humiliating vaccine mandate stunt? He brought out dancers in syringe costumes and did a musical number that looked like a rejected Saturday morning cartoon. That wasn't comedy. That was state-approved propaganda set to a laugh track. Colbert wasn't mocking power. It was cheerleading. For it masking obedience in weak punchlines and calling it satire. While real comedians dared to challenge authority, he was tap dancing for the regime. His loyalty wasn't to truth or humor or the audience, it was to the script. And that's not comedy. That's complicity.
Like, I think that's true with comics, with any kind of journalist. Like, once you start getting, handed things, then you've lost. You know what I mean? They have you at that point, and you got to get out of that habit. It's like, or you can't cross that line.
You can't cross that line. You can't. But if you want to be on a talk show, You have to cross that line. There's no other way you get on that show. You can't get on that show and have some real counterculture narrative that is not approved and sanctioned, and you spit it out there on NBC.
This is exactly why someone like Jon Stewart can disappear for years and then magically reemerge the moment it suits the puppet masters. These power brokers don't retire their assets, they shelve them until they're useful again. And when the timing's right, they dust them off, hand them a script, and send them back on stage. No room for independent thought. It's no genuine dissent. Just scripted outrage, network-approved monologues, and that fake rebellious edge aimed only at the correct targets. Worse yet, these once-revered comedy legends are forced into humiliating, tone-deaf stunts that leave audiences cringing, not laughing. It's not edgy, it's embarrassing. But that's the going rate when you sell your soul to the machine. Once you sign on, they own your voice, your image, your delivery, even your supposed principles. You're no longer a comedian holding power accountable. You're a tool of power, wrapped in a punchline, performing on cue for an audience trained to clap, not think.
Crazy that you're right, that all the comics that were supposed to put everybody to bed or whatever it is, they all went bananas left. I mean, Colbert, these guys are terrible. Like, Kimmel to me is just maybe friends with him. I know a lot of people
I love Jimmy.
Yeah, like he is
Colbert and I
horrible
are
to
not
me.
friends.
Yeah, like those guys to me, they're just the worst sort of partisan nonsense. You want everybody.
But the good part of that is we don't hide it. Like, he doesn't like me and I don't like him. And we don't deny it and we don't like it.
No, but he's nothing.
Colbert?
Yeah, he's nothing.
He's also very successful.
No, but he's just giving the machine what it wants all the time.
Bill Maher has never held back when it comes to Stephen Colbert. He's made it crystal clear. Colbert isn't challenging the system. He is the system. Maher sees straight through the polished act, calling out Colbert's relentless pandering to industry elites and his total unwillingness to question the very power structures he now serves. One of the clearest signs someone's a puppet. They're handed platforms they never truly earned. Case in point, Colbert landing one of the most prestigious talk shows in the country, but as Joe Rogan bluntly pointed out, Colbert never quite fit the role. The charisma felt contrived, the jokes were neutered. The edge that once defined great late-night comedy? Gone. He wasn't picked because he was the funniest or the sharpest. He was picked because he was willing. Willing to echo the narrative. Willing to cozy up to power. And most of all, willing to abandon fearless, honest comedy for scripted obedience masked as satire.
For my differences with you, I totally respect you.
Is well said.
Yeah.
Giving the machine what it wants. I wish I had thought of that phraseology.
Stephen Colbert has been letting his audience down for years, and eventually they just stopped showing up. Viewers didn't tune in to be scolded or spoon-fed partisan talking points. They wanted wit, nuance, and above all balance. Late night used to be a place where comedy could hit everyone, no matter your politics. It was about being surprised, laughing at your own beliefs, and hearing a fresh take on the day's chaos. But what did Colbert deliver instead? Same tired one-note rants about the Orange Man night after night, till the punchlines lost all meaning? The show stopped being sharp. It's unpredictable satire and became a broken record. Predictable. Safe, soft. What was supposed to be a nightly escape turned into a partisan sermon with a laugh track. And people didn't stop watching because they changed. The show did. Colbert's downfall isn't just about ratings, it's about betrayal. He sold out comedy for clout, swapped clever satire for approved scripts, and turned one of late night's most iconic platforms into a megaphone for political elites. Propped up by industry handlers, he ditched nuance for cartoonish Trump bashing, and cringeworthy performances that left even loyal fans wondering what happened to the real Colbert. Meanwhile, voices like Bill Maher and Joe Rogan called him out loudly for abandoning comedy's core mission: challenge power. Don't serve it. And the audience noticed. They tuned out, not because they couldn't handle jokes, but because the jokes weren't real anymore. In the end, Colbert didn't just lose viewers. He lost trust. He lost credibility. And when comedians become mouthpieces instead of mirrors, the joke's not on the audience, it's on the performer. And guess what? Number one's laughing. If you enjoyed today's commentary, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. See you in the next one.